Hi, Lisa White, IVF coach with IVF Manifesting a Miracle, here for a new Soul Sister conversation with Carmen Ohling. Welcome, Carmen.
Thank you, Lisa. This is going to be so fun.
I know, I'm so excited. We recently connected here in Denver at the Business Bosses Who Brunch, and you were the keynote speaker. You're a holistic life coach, and I loved hearing from you and connecting with you, and just so excited to have this chat together today.
Yeah, I am as well. I know that room, that Business Bosses Who Brunch, like that was so energized. It was so fun. So I'm glad that we got to connect there.
I know you offer so much. You have a podcast, the Permission Slip podcast. I love that name. And have a vast background in nutrition and health, and really are all about helping individuals really become obsessed with like your best life, living your best life,
Right.
which I
Yeah.
do as well. And
Yeah.
can you just kind of introduce yourself, where you're based, and a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Yeah. I live in Miami Beach with my husband. We have two older kids. Our son is 25. He lives in Texas. Our daughter is 21. We raised them in Oregon. Once they were older, we decided, let's just go for it. We sold all of our stuff or gave it away, and we moved to Colorado Springs, Colorado for a couple years. We're chasing the sun, you know. People don't know, but in Springs, there's over 300 days of sunshine per year. Prior to that, when we were raising the kids, I worked a corporate leadership job for 16 years. So I've always been a coach. Maybe I was just coaching leadership and sales and client experience, which I still do a little bit of that within my life coaching practice for the entrepreneurs that I work with and the leaders. But yeah, we moved to Colorado, and then I was really manifesting, just writing it out. Like I wake up more days than not by the beach. And you know what happened? The funniest thing, the things that happen that we're kind of upset about are actually the biggest blessings in our life. So we were supposed to go to Tulum on a trip, and my passport renewal didn't come back. So what happened was I Google searched warmest beach in the United States, and we ended up going to Miami Beach. When we got back to Colorado Springs, my husband looked at me and said, "Hey, I think Miami's your beach." I said, "I loved it." So everything like lined up, like our condo lease was up in Springs, and we found a great condo in Miami Beach. We live in South Beach, and we've been here for about a year and a half now. And the work that I do, I can take anywhere. I'm a holistic life coach for women. And basically what that means is I help women let go of like society standards and just, like you said, become obsessed with what they want and what they desire and what they're designing for their life, so they can just like be in awe every day. Like I am like in Miami Beach, I'm like, this is like a bliss bubble here. I love it. And like whoever says like, I love my life so much, like it's okay to say that. So I do that through one-on-one coaching, retreats, workshops, my podcast, speaking, corporate wellness speaking, and other stages as well. But it's really my life's work, and it really just lights me up. Something not only that's my purpose, but I'm also passionate about.
It's so beautiful. I just love how, what you talked about in that talk when I met you, about being the one, right? Like showing how great life can be. You talked about that. And I strive to do that within the fertility community, really going about fertility very differently through IVF, and mindset is a big, very important part of this. Our energy, right? How we're embodying, like stepping into challenging situations, right? We can't control what happens. We can control how we react to things. And I just appreciate, women like you. And I'm a newer entrepreneur in just the last few years, and saying yes to those opportunities to connect at the brunch and things is like, what you've created is so needed with the Permission Slip podcast, for example. And I'm just curious, like kicking it off with like, what do you want to give permission to for women? Like, what is one of your big whys of like, what do you think is the big reason why you created this podcast?
The big reason why I created the podcast. So the podcast specifically is for women who don't have a lot of time per se. We're all quote unquote busy, although I dislike that word because busy is a choice, right? But I created the podcast. Each of the podcast episodes, besides the tour ones that are a little bit longer this year because we're like live in person on tour as well with the podcast, they're about 20 minutes long, and it's me talking, sharing either a personal experience or experience about a client and coaching on a specific topic that you can listen to, and you actually have something that you can take away, you can implement in your life right away, and then do what I call like get curious to see if it works for you. Because life is not going to be about like black or white, right or wrong, and not everything's going to work for you. And so it's really all about stepping back instead of being in like constant comparison and judgment of yourself towards others. It's like just being a witness and get curious to see if these ideas that I'm talking about work for you. And if they work, do them over and over and over and over, and then the results multiply in your life. So that's really the idea behind the podcast, because oftentimes what I've found is women will be over consuming so much information that they either one, they take action on nothing, or they try to take action on too much, and it's too much. And so then they give up. And then what do? We beat ourselves up. So the podcast is all about like, here's the thing, try it out, see if it works for you. So it's not too much, but it's not too little.
Yeah, I think over consuming, that's a very key theme for women navigating through IVF. I mean, oftentimes I hear the phrase like IVF's consuming my life, it's consuming my thoughts. It's very overwhelming. And I, really help individuals to give yourself permission to let a lot of that go, right? To give your permission to experience joy, that you don't have to like stay stuck in the narrative of, well, this has to be really hard, and all of those things that keep us stuck from growth.
Yeah, one of my affirmations for this year, which I would love anybody to take this one on, is everything attached to me wins with ease. And so it's interesting that even if we're going after like, bringing a mini human into the world, or going after one of our other goals, often we try to learn so much and we try to control it, and we're like white knuckling 100% of the time. And that is not doing anything with ease. And when we're in that control mindset, it really blocks us from anything that is available for us to see an opportunity or a lesson or a blessing, or really to receive any messages that we're going to need from God, source, universe, higher power. Because what is really available to us is there is this energy and this spirit of love that is always around us and within us, and helping us and guiding us. And A Course in Miracles says, you know that you are going to be fearful or anxious when you're relying on your own strength. So if you can step back a little bit, and you can step back and just know that's what's meant for you is not going to pass you, and have that faith and have that belief that you are supported and you are guided. But it's just not working out today. It's not working out like our plan is right now. But you know what? The plan for the universe or God, maybe it's like 6 months from now, and it is going to work out, and it is going to work out in your favor. And trusting and believing that, I think, is one of the biggest things that we can do to reach any goal, dream, or anything that we're doing in our lives.
Oh my gosh. It's like, I feel like you've read my book. I speak a lot about this, like having our team, our guides, that we don't have to go about this alone, that we really can put our faith in a higher power, our highest self, letting go of like when we do control this process so much, like a lot of women, they want it so bad. And now I've been there, I wanted to be a mom more than anything, and how often like that creates more resistance, right? Not letting it be, to not letting in the miracles, not giving ourselves the space, right? Let the right supports come our way, or whatever it is.
Right. Yeah. And if that doesn't resonate with somebody, if on the flip side, when we're controlling and we're in that energy, it just builds additional stress within our bodies. And when we're in that heightened, that stress state, that sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight all the time, our body isn't able to be in, like, people have probably heard like rest and digest, which is the parasympathetic nervous system. I like to say like it's the stay and play. Ooh, because that's when we're like in flow. That's when we feel good. And that's when our body will say, okay, body, it's safe now for me to start making this little human in here. But if we're always in that stress mode, controlling, whether it's just the IVF journey or anything else, what's going to happen is you're always going to be in that fight or flight. You're always going to be in that activating your chronic nervous system. And so your body's not going to feel safe enough to do what it needs to do.
True. A feeling of safety is everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of environment do we want to bring a baby home into, right?
Right.
This overactive nervous system or more. I love the stay and play.
Isn't that fun? I know. I mean, rest and digest is one thing too, but stay and play is just like, that's just so much more like juicy and like it just feels so good when you say it. Like, yeah, I want to be in the stay and play.
And I just want to touch upon that because I think so many women have lost their sense of joy on this ride. They've lost their sense of just play and remembering who they used to be, who they were. They've forgotten that. And I bring a lot of that in the women I support through coaching. You know, it's reminding yourself and pulling out those activities and hobbies and things that like light you up. Getting in that creative space to play.
I agree with that. I think one of the biggest things that sometimes people are resistant to because they don't know necessarily what to write, but it's just to become more self-aware. And the easiest way to do that, where you don't have to like tell somebody else right away and rip off that vulnerability band-aid that can sometimes be scary, is to start a journaling practice. 100%. And one of the easiest things that you could do to get back to that joy is to ask yourself every morning, like the question, just how do I want to feel today? And then if the answer is I want to feel more playful and joyful, then the follow-up to that is like, great, what are some things that will help me feel that way? And write those things down and then make sure to take action on those things. It's when we're on that treadmill of life that we're not actually being intentional and we're not thinking about how are we feeling? How do we want to feel? What can we do? Because again, it's a choice that we're making, whether we want to go on autopilot and feel like shit, or whether we want to actually be mindful and choose joy. And so I think those are two simple things that somebody could do that would make a huge difference.
Journaling. I'm all about journaling for sure. Yes. I get a lot of journaling prompts in my book. And you talked about feeling. It's so important to feel it all. And how many times I see women on this path really kind of numb out and swipe things under the rug and not want to feel it. And it's healthy. Like this is not a fun process to go through.
I could see that for sure. You know, something I want to email you and you can share with your community is I developed just like this PDF, this one sheet, and it's just a bunch of feelings words. Because one thing I was finding when I would ask that question, like, how do I want to feel? People would sometimes come up with things like productive, you know, like those types of things. I'm like, well, that's not actually like a feelings word, you know? And so I can send that to you if you want to share it with your community, but it's super fun. And so if someone's really diving into like, okay, I'm going to start choosing to feel better, they can use this to be like, ooh, that word, you know, like I want to have it, you know, be enthusiastic today. When was the last time we used that word, you know, and that sparks joy, right? Totally. So it's kind of fun. I'll make a note to send it to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I like how you highlight the word choose. Like you've said that a couple times, and I'm all about that too. It's a choice. And I think often people forget we get to choose how we want to approach difficult things, you know?
And it's not to say, I do want to say with a caveat, I'm not saying that we should be slapping a positive affirmation on something and not feeling it when we are feeling bad. But we need to recognize what the feeling is, where it's coming from, process through it. If there's like, maybe we need to forgive somebody, forgive ourselves. Forgiving ourselves is usually a big one. And really process through those feelings. And then don't sit there forever. You know, it's when we sit there for a really long time. So I like to say, like, how fast is our comeback rate? How fast can we process through that feeling in a meaningful way that actually processes it and doesn't sweep it under the rug, like what you talked about earlier? But then we can choose something, you know, choose something new, choose a new thought.
Completely. You know, it's staying empowered on this path, right? Knowing that we are a big part of, I'm a big believer in being an active participant in our lives, co-creating our lives and not just sitting back and like waiting for things to happen, really taking our power back. Gosh, there's so many things I'd love to talk to you about. I mean, there's like, you have a lot of experience with healthy eating and being aware of like the toxins and use of clean products in one's life. And I know the fertility community, you know, there's so much information. That's actually one of the feeling words, is overwhelmed, like overwhelmed by like so much stuff out there. And what should I be eating? What should I not? What should I be using? What should I not? And I'm wondering if there's any kind of just a few simple key things that you could guide us to. I would say that toxins, like the hormone disruptors, are a big deal, you know, that the fertility community,
right,
so chemicals, things like that.
Great question. And I really look at it as my job is to take complicated things like this, like these topics, that there's so much information out there that we're like consuming all of it and we don't need to be, but and just simplify it and give it to people in a way that they can just actually implement it in their life. So as it relates to food, there is hormones in our food, and even the soil that our food is grown in has been degraded, basically has reduced the amount of nutrients that's in the soil because of what we've done to it and the chemicals that we've used. So some good tips for food is to cook at home. Yeah. And cook at home with single ingredient foods. So what that means is, like, if you buy rice, the ingredient is rice. It's not rice-a-roni. If you buy oatmeal, the ingredient is oatmeal. It's not apple, cinnamon, Quaker, quick, instant, ready oatmeal. So people probably get the drift here. So fruits and vegetables, quality meats. So your meat quality is so much more important, and people are really focused on eating protein, but you want to have quality meat. So sustainably caught, wild caught fish. If you want to get totally grossed out, Google tilapia, and then you'll see what I mean and how that is raised. So there's that. That's everybody. That's everybody's homework. And from now on, you're gonna not get farmed fish. As far as like beef goes, you know, you want it to be grass-fed and finished and pasture raised. The same thing with eggs. It's going to be organic pasture raised eggs, because pasture raised means they're not in those like little coops, you know. Let's see, chicken, same type of thing for that. And then just understanding and listening to your body. If you eat something and you don't feel good after, and it happens multiple times, you probably shouldn't be eating it.
Yeah.
And it's really, really as simple as that. For example, I was diagnosed with MS when I was 25. And so I eat a very anti-inflammatory diet, which means I don't have refined white sugar, I don't have gluten, and I don't have dairy. But let me tell you, this cottage cheese was calling my name the other day at the store. And it's like the best brand, no fillers, no added, like raised really good, all the things. I'm like, I'm going to try it. It was a no. You know, I tried it 2 different times and it made my stomach kind of like hurt and like gassy. And then another time I was like, my sinuses kicked in. So that's just an example of how you can listen to your body after you eat. And most of the time we're looking for an external source to tell us, but our body is the true test. The other thing that you can do is you can make water your primary beverage. And try to shoot for drinking 75 ounces or more from a non-plastic container, so glass or stainless steel. Filter your water. If you want to know what's in your water, the Environmental Working Group will tell you. So you can go online to, I think it's just like ewg.org or something. Just Google Environmental Working Group. You can put in your zip code and you can see what the contaminant levels are in your water. I use a big Berkey, so you can hop on Amazon, Google it. It's a big Berkey. It's this big like 2-gallon thing that sits, and it has these charcoal filters that filters out all the nasty stuff in the water. Filtering water is really, really important. I remember I went to a naturopath about like 15 years ago, and I remember she told me to filter my water and tried to sell me this under the counter like $600 thing. And it really turned me off because I thought she was just trying to make a sale, but it was so important to filter your water. So important. And then
Colorado and
as far as like household product goes, primarily everything that you're using to clean with it has chemicals in it and could be a hormone disruptor. just think about, like, one of the things that most of the time people don't think about is their dishwashing detergent. So what are you using for a dishwasher detergent? And then you're washing it in all these chemicals, and then like you're like licking the spoon and drinking out of the glass. So again, a really good resource. You can actually download the app and then from the environmental working group. And what you can do is when you're at the store, you can scan the barcodes of products and you can see what their rating is. So you want to try and get a rating like it's like a 1 is really great. A 2 is like a little bit. And then anything above that, I don't recommend buying. A simple cleaner that you can make at home is water and vinegar. Oh, what an idea.
What about adding essential oils or?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you could add some essential oils to it if you want to. I almost just said spice it up. That is not food, but scent it up a little bit. But that's a really, really great cleaner that you can use, because there are really hormone disruptors in all of our products that we're using. And if someone's like, oh my gosh, I have to look at everything, I heard about this clean beauty and now I have to do my dishwasher detergent, like start with one thing, okay, tackle your kitchen and see what you could do, and then move to the bathroom, and then do your beauty routine little by little. It took me a really long time to find mascara. I was a L'Oreal Voluminous mascara user for years, and it was like my go-to thing, right? Because I feel like light enters, like people just connect to your eyes, and it's just so big and bright, and that's where the light enters and shines through. And so I finally found one. So the brand that I use is ILIA, and it's a pretty clean brand, and they actually have a good mascara. So
ILIA, I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, it's like and their packaging is like white. So they have a really nice, I'm actually wearing it today, an eyeshadow palette too. So, and of course there's like Beauty Counter, people have heard of that. Alicia Keys came out with a pretty clean line, Keys Soul Care. And I've tried some of her products before, and there's so many out there now. It's finding something that works for you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. These have been amazing tips. Wonderful. Thank you.
Yes, of course.
For cleaning, for like, are those pods? Are there actually like good pods for dishwashers? Like thinking of cleaning products?
There are. And okay, it's under my sink right now. I could go get it, or I could send it to you later. I can't remember the name of it.
Grab it if you want.
You want me to get it? Okay.
Sure. Give a minute. I'll pause it. Okay.
So I threw out the container, so I didn't have it. But a brand that's pretty good and most available at most stores is 7th Generation. Another one that you could buy online is Branch Basics. That's really good too. But those specific pods, I got them on Amazon, so I'll look up the link and send it to you afterwards that you could share.
No, these are amazing. Thank you so much. So how are you staying and playing these days?
Right? How am I staying and playing? Something that I started doing just recently is doing a walk. I'm calling it like a God walk. So in the morning and then in the afternoon. And what that basically means is I'm not listening to any like music or podcast. I will listen to like one of my favorite like preachers or instrumental music, but nothing with words, because I don't want to be consuming necessarily. But most of the time I'm just in nature and just talking to God, asking about things, receiving messages, that sort of thing. And that feels really good. And it helps keep me super aligned, and doing that in the morning and the evening. Making it a point to get together with a girlfriend every single week, which is fun. And then going to something in the community every week. And no like hard and fast rules about any of that, but just doing something. For example, so we're super blessed. We live in South Beach. So my husband and I last week went to the beach and did like a sound bowl session with the full moon, which was so cool. Yeah, it was really wonderful. This Friday I'm going to an event called Miami Beach Storytelling, where the community just gets together, and it's, even though I'm a speaker, I'm speaking, but I'm not speaking like I would normally speak. I'm just telling a story, and everyone from the community has an opportunity to stand up and tell their story about a specific topic. This week's topic is about is about when you got so sick of something. And so it's just a fun way to connect with other people, because people get really vulnerable and share. So those are some ways that I'm staying and playing and finding joy. And then just being so grateful in the moment.
Yeah.
And even though I'm working towards doing different things with our wealth building and with my business, is finding that I find the most joy when I can be really content with what I have. Now that, again, that doesn't mean I'm not working towards other things. But I was sitting out back by the bay and just looking at the view, and did work this morning for a couple of hours there. And just that environment, I was like, you know what, like, could this get any better than this? And I was like, yeah, it probably could. But I feel so much joy just being content and happy with this moment right now.
You're bringing it back to just presence, right?
Yes. Yes.
Presence.
Yes.
And gratitude.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so important to kind of quiet the noise. A lot happening. And I love all that you shared. It's so beautiful. I can relate. I was sitting on my patio this morning with coffee and hearing the waterfall and just the fresh grass and just the simple things that we really do take for granted. You know?
Because often we're constantly consuming instead of just enjoying the simple things, which bring us back home to ourselves, home to Mother Nature. We can really start hearing our intuition then when we're not in constant consumption. And oftentimes we even think we're consuming something positive or good. Maybe we're learning more about our IVF journey, or more about personal growth, or more about health. But sometimes we just need to cut off all of that.
Yeah. I'm all about like kind of eliminating and lightening the path, lightening the load. This ride can feel so heavy. And so it's not like people need to do more. And that's often what I think a lot of women feel like. I'm not doing enough, I'm not eating enough, or doing the right XYZ. And it's like, oh boy, I would like to just strip a lot of that away, to just come back, like you said, home to ourselves. Like we have the answers within us a lot of the time.
And the other thing I like to give permission on is that I think we can, as women, we can do so much, and we can do anything that we truly want to, just not all at the same time. And then the permission there is not everything has to be done today. Just reminding ourselves, like, we do have lots that we want to do, but not everything has to be done today, and feeling good about what we did do today.
That's really good advice. And I think many can relate, because the path of IVF is very long. And as far as there's so much waiting, it's about, how much can you endure? How long can you endure this path, and the resilience to like keep making like steps forward on the path, what any like final words you would give to someone in the waiting, who are like, someone who's just really trying to hold on and keep their sense of self, without losing. I believe it's really hard for individuals often feeling like they're losing themselves on this ride.
I wrote something for my community earlier. I have just my permission slip community, and I have a free Facebook group that anybody can join. And I wrote something. It was almost like a little prayer, or something I wanted them to repeat in the mirror every morning. So I thought I would share that here, and people can rewatch this as many times as they want to. And one of the things to remind ourselves is that we can't have a testimony without a test. That's the first thing. So if you want this miracle, this testimony of having this miracle and birthing this little mini amazing human, that there is probably going to be a test. And even after you have birth, there's probably going to be more. I know there's going to be more tests. So this is just the first of many. But let me read this. And really, if this is something that someone could repeat in the mirror, like, it would be so just heartwarming, inspiring, motivating each and every day to remind ourselves. So here we go. I am God's masterpiece. Today I stand shifted, enlightened, radiant, and full of peace and love. My old ceiling is now my floor, and I'm excited to step fully into this new space with curiosity, wisdom, and grace, knowing that I am fully held and supported. I can never make the wrong choice. I trust myself. I'm patient, and everything is working out for me.
Love it.
And so it is.
Yes. So much. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much.
I want to like clip that and put that up. Beautiful. Thank you so much for that gift. And you have a lot that you're creating right now. I want you to share with summer school and all the wonderful things that you're creating. I would love for you to have a way for people to reach you. And
so some resources for people is I do have a journal. If you want to start a journaling practice, you could just Google Be the Light Transformational Journal on Amazon. It's a hardcover. It's really pretty and it's full of journal prompts and ways to keep moving forward. I'm doing summer school. So normally I only offer my life coaching on a one-on-one basis, but this summer after the July 4th holiday, I'm offering summer school for people to join in a group setting where I'm taking my signature life coaching. And that's really for someone who wants to enjoy their summer, but doesn't want to give up on their hopes and dreams or personal growth. And they don't want to go backwards, but they want to keep going and really allow this to be the shifts that they need in their life to take those quantum leaps even over the next couple of months. And lastly, I have an amazing retreat in Tulum. It's going to be magical. There's 5 tickets left. It's October 8th through 11th. It's called the Permission Slip Retreat. Just think of it as like a self-care / girls / fun and adventure / time for yourself, and a little bit of personal development in there too. But it's really all about expanding yourself. And that expansion is what really creates more confidence and belief and trust in ourselves. So those are some things that I have upcoming for the rest of the year. Thank you for asking.
Oh, of course. Thank you. No, I'm excited to see your journal. And I saw a quote you shared from one of your social media posts about no one is you, and that is your superpower. I saw that.
But isn't it funny? Like, do you ever get asked that question? What is your superpower or like superhero or whatever? And you're like, I don't even know. And it's like, what if we just all answered that with like, it's me. Right?
Yeah. Because no one can do it like you, right? Like,
right.
Thanks for that reminder. Oh my gosh, this talk was so good.
Thank you for the talk. It was so fun.
Yeah, and people
definitely stay and play right here.
Yes, stay and play. This is the vibe that I'm cultivating and creating. I want to be in that environment. So stay and play. Your website is
CarmenOhling.com, and they can also get with me on Instagram. So at Carmen Ohling, that's OHLING. And then of course the Permission Slip podcast, wherever you listen to a podcast.
So good. Awesome. And for anyone who's looking for more support on their fertility path or IVF, reach out to me, DM me, or email at ivfmanifestingamiracle.com. And gosh, yeah, this has been amazing. So stay and play, ladies. Thank you.